Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, the government is proposing sweeping increase in fines, and more doubles in the tail. Now it's doubles and triples. We love doubles, but the food, not the fines. So the government is proposing sweeping increases to fines contained across dozens of laws, with some of the most eye-catching changes targeting offences involving the production of vinegar and coconut products. A lot of poor people depend on that. All right. The increases are contained in the Finance Bill 2026, which was laid in Parliament Friday, by Finance Minister Davendranath Tancoo. The bill is scheduled for debate in the House of Representatives on June 10th before going to the Standing Finance Committee on June 12th. Among the proposed amendments is an increase in the fine for manufacturing vinegar for sale without a license. Vinegar, people, under the Spirits and Spirit Compounds Act. That penalty will jump from $2,000 to $8,000, a 300% increase. So no longer doubles, I tell you there. We get triples and things like that. Oh, Lord Father. The bill also proposes doubling the penalty for manufacturing copra products without a license under the Copra Products Control Act. The fine would rise from $4,000 to $8,000, doubles in retail, boy. Copra is the dried meat or kernel of a coconut and is used to produce coconut oil and other coconut-based products. Once again, the poor man, poor man might use it to be able to sell a little coconut oil. Can't do that anymore. No, because the Queen says get a license to do it. The unusual offences stand out in legislation that otherwise focuses heavily on crime, public safety, environmental protection, and business regulation. The Finance Bill contains higher penalties for a range of offences, including operating a sawmill without a license, removing timber without a permit, hunting-related violations. I could understand the hunting-related ones. A lot of hunters abuse everything, and they go and they hunting animals, even wildlife, even when it's not hunting season and stuff. Tobacco sales offences and breaches of gaming and liquor license laws. My response, the poor man winning. You know what we're winning? A huge kick in the behind. A lot of UNC people probably make and sell these products, but that's okay. Give praise to your queen, Kamala. You will wait until it's too late to realize that Kamala is transforming the UNC into PNM's twin. It has already begun. Most likely it's almost at the stage of being completed. Look at her inner circle. They are PNM. A lot of them are actual former members of the PNM, and a lot of the others were never UNC, and they opposed us. While we were the ones protesting during the lockdowns, they were against our protests. But you all can't remember that, though, because all you're too blind, all you have in all your head is when UNC wins, everybody wins. Like, do we winning anything right now? Tancoo continues to persecute the poor in our society via fees and fines, even though those were the same issues UNC Patriots complained about for the past 10 years. We have a video, people, of Kamala saying these fines for the driving offenses was being imposed by a wicked government. All of a sudden, because she's doing it, it's no longer wicked enough. And people clapped back then and said, amen. Now it's all about lawlessness, the hypocrisy amongst the UNC supporters. I just cannot cope with it. I truly hope that Farley expands his political party to Trinidad and officially instructs his 2 MPs to distance themselves from Kamala's government. Farley, do the right thing, from now. Tell your MPs, move aside, move away. You don't need to join the Mighty Muffin Ghanaian coal pot, bicycle, no ham, no macaroni pie, and either, but pull away from the government for your sake. You need those 2 seats in Tobago. All right. We really need to give a third party a chance in 2030. Because we can't go back under the PNM either, people. We can't. Because the destruction will just continue. And a lot of the draconian laws that are being imposed by the UNC right now are going to continue under the Mighty Muffin Ghanaian PNM. Don't be fooled. I can do all, but a lot of it is going to be imposed by the Mighty Muffin Ghanaian PNM. So people, we need to give a third party a chance. Am I saying that Farley is perfect? No. Am I saying that he might end up doing things that I don't like? I'm not saying that either. But oh gosh, he's doing okay in Tobago. And this is his 2nd term. Let's try to see if we can give him a chance here in Trinidad and Tobago. Encourage Farley to expand his political party into Trinidad and Tobago and campaign to become Prime Minister in 2030. Let's try to give the man a chance. Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara has addressed criticism surrounding the policing of protests during the SOE, rejecting claims that officers have treated some demonstrations differently from others. This man really thinks that the entire nation are a bunch of fools, you know. That is very far from the truth, he said, while speaking to reporters in Tobago yesterday morning. Guevara pointed to demonstrations held following the police-involved shooting death of Joshua Samaru, saying officers had facilitated several protests before intervening when organizers breached the emergency regulations by doing what? By chanting for justice a little too loud. That was what you were calling breaching, because nobody rioted. Nobody was rioting. Nobody picked up any arms. Nobody picked up any weapons. So how did they breach anything? He said, I want to draw particular attention to the Joshua Samaru protests. That protest actually had about 15 or 16 protest demonstrations in front of police stations prior, but they all held within the law and they were all done in the right way. Thus, when it reached to the point of it becoming adversarial and against what the emergency powers regulations dictates, that is when the police had to step in and take decisive action. What, I'm telling you, what videos can this man provide for us to show us that anyone acted in any disorderly manner, other than just yelling that we want justice? So yelling is what? An offense now under the SOE? You can't yell. We did it under the UNC and the pushback movement. We yelled that Rowley must go. We went yelling. Now I think that at that particular point in time, I don't think it had an SOE anymore, though. We went yelling by the US Embassy to help us that Rowley must go. I'm telling you the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy amongst the UNC population. My response, the Comedian of the Month award goes to Officer Dibbles Guevara. This man makes Erla look like a saint. This man makes Erla look like a much better commissioner of police. And Erla was somebody that I did not agree with most of the times. And yet he is far more evil than that woman.
Weather forecast for Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday, June 7, 2026. The weather in Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday, June 7, 2026 will be mostly cloudy and breezy with heavy thunderstorms and occasional showers. The day's high temperature will reach 31 degrees Celsius, feeling like 30 degrees Celsius due to humidity, and dropping to an overnight low of 24 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric instability caused by a passing tropical wave will maintain high humidity levels between 80% to 100% throughout the day. Brisk easterly winds will average 10 to 40 kilometers per hour and can become significantly gusty in and near heavy downpours. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service advises that landslips or localized street flooding may occur in areas prone to these hazards due to intense morning rainfall. Seas will remain moderate with open water waves tracking between 1.5 to 2.0 meters, while sheltered coastal areas can occasionally become choppy.
International news now. U.S. forces shut down Iranian missiles and drones aimed toward Gulf allies and the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says 6 of 7 ballistic missiles were intercepted. A 7th missed its target, and 4 one-way attack drones were taken down before threatening maritime traffic. Thank God. U.S. forces then struck Iranian coastal radar sites to prevent further attacks. No U.S. personnel were harmed. See, Trump continues to play games with terrorists. That is all the Iranians going to continue to do, no matter what. Because they are not going to agree with Trump's terms and conditions. And Trump isn't going to agree with certain terms and conditions that they are setting either. So you're just spinning top in mud, as we say here in Trinidad and Tobago. It seems as though Trump doesn't mind, because all he cares about is trying to portray himself as the biggest peacemaker in the world. That is the spirit of the Antichrist, because it is the Antichrist who will pretend as though he's providing or making peace for the entire world. Ukrainian forces launched a massive drone assault on St. Petersburg and the surrounding Leningrad region, with Russian officials calling it an unprecedented attack. Russian authorities claimed more than 140 drones were shot down, while St. Petersburg governor urged residents to stay indoors for the first time since the war began over 4 years ago. Who started the war? Who built the ark? No, not who built the ark. Who started the war? Putin. The same man that wants is making it very clear that he wants to revive or rebuild the USSR. President Zelensky hailed the operation as a direct hit on Russian arsenals and a naval base, framing it as a justified response to Moscow's ongoing aggression. Exactly, he wasn't targeting civilians. He also confirmed strikes on an oil depot in the Krasnodar region as part of Ukraine's long-range campaign. The timing is no coincidence. The assault hit as Russia wrapped up its annual economic forum in the city, an event meant to project strength and attract investment. Zelensky has been pushing hard for negotiations, including an open letter to Putin calling for a ceasefire and direct talks. But Putin rejected the overtures, insisting any truce would only let Ukraine regroup and doubling down on his demands for territorial concessions. I'm telling you, it's Putin wants to take and annex part of Ukraine with his bold-faced self.
John 5:1-9. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there is in Jerusalem near the Sheep Gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up. Pick up your mat and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. The day on which this took place was a Sabbath.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.